You jinx the Predators. It's your fault. And if they lose, it's, oh, my God. The Predators are going to win tonight. I think they're going to win. And here's why I think they're going to win. Because the teams that get beat 4 games, there's one of 2 ways you get beat 4 games. One is you're just dominated by the other team. Like you're just that much worse than the other team. The other way is you basically quit midway through. There's one of 2 ways you lose in 4 games. And everybody that loses 3 in a row, I know it's happened before in sports where the team that loses 3 in a row ends up winning the series, especially in hockey. It's happened multiple times. But the truth is, if you go down 3-0, you usually lose in 4 games. And if this team goes down 3-0, they're going to lose in 4 games. I just am telling you the way this series is going. So, I don't know about you guys. I'm picking the Predators tonight. I think the Predators get it done. I think the Predators are going to win. I think Saros is going to be fantastic. I think the crowd's going to be electric. I think all of those things are going to happen. I think they're going to score some goals. I honestly don't even think it's going to be that close. I think the Predators are going to win this game tonight 4-1. I think they are going to win. And we'll get into all the betting ramifications of all of that and whatnot. But I think they're going to win tonight because I just don't see this team quitting. Now, do I think this team can compete with Carolina? And I said there's 2 ways that you can get blown out in a series 4-0. And one of them is the other team is just that much better than you, which is a legitimate possibility with Carolina. But what I'm telling you all today is I think they're going to win. And I don't care what anybody says about me jinxing the team or me rooting for or against the team. Like, I don't care what you think about my pick. I just think this team's not giving up. Again, they're going to have to win both games to make it a series. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I think they're going to win tonight. What do we think about it? Let's kick it around the room. What do we think? I'm picking them to win. What do we think?
I also just have a feeling that the Predators are going to win, and I don't think that normally home ice advantage plays a huge factor, but I think tonight it will. A nearly packed Bridgestone for the first time in a long time, and I really do think that that's kind of going to give them that competitive advantage that they need. And also, the Predators are no strangers to being back and being behind and having to claw their way back into the competition. They've done that so far this season. We've seen that from them. They went from, I'm not going to say worst to first, but that same kind of idea. They were so far back, and the season felt so far gone, and now here they are in the playoffs. So they are no strangers to being behind and being the quote-unquote underdogs. So I don't think that being down 2 games is going to get to them. I don't think that they're going to give up. They still have a lot of fight left in them, and I think being back in Bridgestone is going to bring that out of them.
Ian?
Just a side note, I found it was early March 2020. The last time you guys were at Pete and Terry's.
Early March.
Yes.
I'm a first-timer. It's a great place.
You know, I actually don't think I was there that day. I think that's when I had the flu.
One day, Steve was in for you, and the other day, Joe Rexroad was in for Floyd, is what my notes say.
Okay.
But
you
yes.
know what? That's right. That was the day of the tornado. So the day of
You're
the tornado
right. That is the day
was
before.
the last.
And then that night, yeah.
Yes. That is the last time.
Wow, that's a little freaky.
Okay. What do you think about me thinking the Predators are going to win?
I do think they're going to get – the Preds will give them their best shot tonight. You know, backs against the wall, desperation, back at home, can't go down 3-0 kind of thing. You know, John Hines seemed like this morning saying he was pretty confident he would get the team's best shot tonight. So I think if they're going to win one, this is good as any.
So I think they're going to win. And I know people are going to be mad because, like, I think I'm like just sometimes people just want to get mad. And so it'll be like if I pick them to lose, it's like you hate the Predators, so I hate you. And then if you pick them to win, it's like you're jinxing the Predators, so I hate you.
You really can't please the people.
I can't. And so I just don't try.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to win tonight. I think the reason they're going to win tonight is because I don't think that they're like losers in that way. Like just, you know, you loser. I don't think that's them. This team, to your point, they have fought with the adversity all season long. Now, the idea of they fought with adversity all season long, so let's see how they do in a game of this magnitude. Let's see if they give it their best shot. And, hey, they fought through adversity all season long, so they know, hey, they can go out there and win this series. I'm not saying that.
No.
That's not coming out of my mouth. I'm talking about tonight, Game 3. And every coach and everybody will tell you you can't win Game 4 if you don't win Game 3. And I just said you can't win this series. You cannot win this series if you lose this game. So I think they're going to win tonight. Now, the other part about it is, I do believe that this game has much bigger ramifications than just tonight's game. Because if they do lose, they are going to lose the series. I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I'm not telling you not to go to Game 4. I'm not telling you I'm not going to Game 4 because I am going to Game 4, even if they lose tonight. But if they lose tonight, it is over. They are not going to compete in this series. And I am not. I think everybody would tell you that going in. Hey, if you play a team that is this much better on paper than you are, and you lose the first 3 games of that series, are you going to win? And I think most everybody would say, no, you're not going to win. So they have to win tonight. And if they don't win tonight and they lose this series 4-0, which again is exactly what happens if they lose, then I think they got to blow it up. Now, when I say blow it up, that doesn't mean get rid of every player. But it does mean that I think you're going to see massive changes to the roster. And every single time we get close to massive changes, and every single time we start throwing around the term blow it up to whatever extent we actually mean by it, because I think different people have a different interpretation of what blow it up means. But every time we get close to that, they go out there and do something that gives everybody hope, whether it is well-justified hope or not. They do something that gives everybody hope. And so tonight's game, you can talk about it being one game in a series. But to me, and that's what John Hines did because I kind of asked him about it. But to me, like, this is it. Like, this is it. This is it for this group. And if they lose tonight, it is time to blow it up. It is time to get rid of guys that we don't want to see here anymore. And I'm not sitting there pointing out fingers and saying this or that, and it's going to be hard. Like, getting rid of Johansson, it's going to be hard. But it's probably necessary. Getting rid of Duchesne, it's going to be hard. Getting rid of Arvidsson, people aren't going to want to do that. Maybe having to get rid of Fabro as part of a deal to get rid of one of those guys you don't want to get rid of. It's not going to be fun. But, like, I think it's over for this crew, this group. I think it is over. And I think John Hines knows that because John Hines was openly challenging the Do More crew before game number 2. And I don't think he'll say, hey, do it or you're out of here. But how many times have we talked about, is this the last chance for Ryan Johansson? Is this the last chance for Matt Duchesne? I feel like we have talked about that for the last 3 weeks, that this season, this whatever it is, run, whatever you want to call it, it's it for these guys. So if you lose tonight, I think they're blowing it up. And I think Poyle made that evidently clear last week when he said, hey, if things don't go well in this series, if I see how I look at this series, it's going to give me an idea of what to do. Here's what David Poyle said.
This series, so I'm going to find out a lot about our team and about the individuals on our team. I'm going to find out how good Carolina is and what the difference is between the two teams. All those things are going to go into the decision-making process in the offseason as to where we go with the franchise. So again, I'd like to, as best possible, enjoy the time here because it's been a difficult season, but there's lots of things to be positive about for where we are and what our chances are, and it's also a lot of things to be positive for going forward. But we all know that there's always changes in an off season, and we will get to that after our season ends, and hopefully that will be not in the near future.
He's blowing it up if they lose. Hey, they're a top team. I want to see where our team is. You lose tonight, you get swept in 4. You get swept in 4, big changes are coming. So I wonder if this group is aware of that, because every time it starts to come down the pipe that, hey, they may be getting rid of all you guys, they start to play a little bit better. So, again, I think that's the other thing about tonight's game. I think there's a lot of storylines from tonight's game that are just bigger than can they win game 3, can they get back in the series, and we will discuss a lot of that today. But I think that if they lose tonight, I think they're getting swept. If they get swept, I think massive changes are coming. And let me be the first to say, I am rooting, if they get swept in this series, for massive changes to come.
I don't know. If they lose tonight, I don't know if they necessarily will get swept. I think there may still possibly be a chance for a game 4. But if you lose tonight, like there's no chance of the Predators winning this series.
See, they know, though. If they lose tonight, they know.
They know
and
it's
then they're
over.
going to go out there
They know
and give
it's
you.
over.
They're going to give you an 80% effort because their
And then
heads
you
are going to
go
be out
back
of
to
it.
Raleigh, and what do you have
They're
to
not
look
going back to
forward
Raleigh. I'm telling you, if they lose, it's over. If they lose tonight, they're going to give you, their head is going to be 65% there. They're going to go through the motions Sunday. They'll lose 3-1, 3-0, and see ya. And then again, I think massive changes are coming to the Predators if that happens. So, and as I said, if they get swept in this series or if they lose in 5 games, I hope for massive changes. I told you guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to move on from the 2017 Fuzzies.
Mm-hmm.
Like no disrespect to the 2017 run and the President's Trophy and everything. I'm ready. I'm ready to move on from Johansson. I'm ready to move on from Arvidsson. I'm ready to move on from Ryan Ellis. I'm just ready to move on from almost all of that, start up a new group, and let it rock. And I think that they have been very hesitant to do that. But I don't think they're hesitating anymore. I think that they're finally pulling the trigger on all of that if this team gets beat and gets beat handedly by Carolina. So there's a challenge to those guys in the locker room. Let's take your calls. 615-737-1025 on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Short show today. We've got a 3-hour show. Remember, the game is at 6 o'clock, so the pregame comes your way at 5. 615-737-1025. Plus, what Coach John Hines has to say about the likelihood of big changes or challenging these guys if they can't meet the level of expectation. That's next. We're live from Pete and Terry's Tavern, the wholesaling studios, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's a Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, John. David said last week before the series that he really wanted to see kind of how you guys stacked up against Carolina for making decisions going forward. How much of that right now for some of these guys do you want to see? You've challenged them, but to be down 0-2, knowing backs against the wall, having to defend home ice, how much of this will kind of define what some of these guys are made of for this program going forward?
Well, it's a good question. I guess I would answer it this way right now because this is really where my mind's at, Jared, as the coach, is that, I believe that our team is going to play really well tonight. We need these guys to step up and play well, and it's about winning. It's about winning a game. It's about getting ourselves in the win column, getting ourselves back into this series. And I understand the future forecasting of what it is, but to be very honest, at this point in time, this is our group, this is our team. There's a reason why we're here. We're in the middle of a playoff series, and it's all about Game 3. And let's focus in on that. Let's get great performances. Let's have our team play better. Let's come out here and let's find a way to win a hockey game.
John Hines today saying, it's all about Game 3. Yes, for him, it's all about Game 3. For the core group, I think it's a lot bigger than that. If you like being in Nashville, play better. You got to win tonight. I do think they are making massive changes to the roster in the offseason if they don't win tonight, because if they don't win tonight, they're going to get blown out in the series. Do we think that these are legitimate threats, or do you think it's just me talking on the radio saying they're going to make, saying that they're going to make massive changes just because I want them to?
I think that it should be a legitimate threat, and I totally understand why they are so reluctant to get rid of that quote-unquote do-more crew, the Arvidses, the Johanssons, the Ellises of the team, because it's kind of like, with a toxic relationship, you hold on to the things that were so fun so long ago, and you just don't want to admit that it's not working anymore. And it's just not working anymore with the Predators. So I do think they have to get to a certain point and say, hey, we're not getting past the first round of the playoffs. We're not beating these big boy teams that we need to be, that the Predators can be. So I think it should be a legitimate thought and a threat to, okay, if we can't do what we are capable of doing, what we did do a few years ago, then we have to set ourselves up to do that. And who are the guys that are impending that potential of the Predators?
I think that losing this series would be the moment that they realize, because I've realized it for forever. Like, I knew after the Dallas series, okay, bring in Matt Duchene. And once you bring in Matt Duchene, let's see if that fixes things. It didn't. They fired the coach. I was against firing the coach because I thought that the guy could coach. And I think this guy can coach. I think that guy could probably coach a little bit better. But, okay, fine. I understand. This is hockey. And in hockey, this is a fire the coach sport. So if things don't work out, you fire the coach. That's what you do in hockey. Everybody does it. Montreal fired their coach, Claude Julien, who's won a cup, who they'd already fired before. And they fired him in the middle of the season. So, again, that's hockey. Fine. But once you get knocked out by Arizona in the bubble series, like, that kind of tells me all I need to know. So I've been there. I've been with, okay, like, time to give up on the 2017 crew. I don't think they want to do this. Like, I don't think they want it. I think it's one of those relationships where you want to bail on it, so you want your friend to bail on this relationship so badly, and they won't do it. And no matter how many times you've had that discussion with your friend about that, how toxic that relationship is, they're just like, no, I just know, and they give them like a ninth chance.
But it was so great a few years ago.
But at some point, though, right? Like, at some point, even they give up. And I think that's where they are. Like, that's where Poile, I think, is. And that's if Poile's in charge of making this kind of decision, and I don't know. But that's, I think they're breaking it up if that's why I think tonight's game's so big. I don't think they're going to win this series. But I do think they can win this series. You lose tonight, I don't think you can win this series.
I don't think so either.
You get blasted in this series to where there's nothing you can point at to say, like, that all that, what they spoke after the game the other day, all of that was all fake. Like, that was all fake. That whole, well, hey, we played a pretty good game. Our 5-on-5 was pretty, that's all talk. And they probably know that too. Like, we know they got beat. They got beat. I mean, it wasn't like hey, puck bounces their way. They got beat and they know it. And they got beat in game 1. Here you go. You get beaten game 3, you're going to get beaten game 4, and when you do, it tells you where you are. And unlike that Punch and Judy Avalanche team that came in here a couple years ago, the Predators don't have young players that look like they're going to be really good in a couple of years. So it really is kind of the last chance for this group. Now, they're still going to get their money because you can't take it away. Like, Duchesne's still going to get paid. Johansson's still going to get paid. Arvidsson's still going to be, for as long as he is. They're still going to get their money. But they might be doing it in Calgary. They might be doing it in Seattle. They might be doing it in places that, quite frankly, they don't want to be. So I think this is the last chance for this group. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Let's go to them. Text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline Fenton, what's in there?
Dexter texted into the text line and says the Nashville referees versus the Hurricanes. If Pecorine heads win, it's because the referees helped them.
Okay, so that's a hot take, but I also think that's a stupid take.
Yeah.
Move on. Next one.
April in Portland said, I want Dutchie, RV, and Ellis gone no matter what.
So here's the thing. I don't know how you get rid of all those guys. I mean, I hear the texter. I just don't know, nobody, I don't think people want these guys. Arvidsson, I was talking to Chase about this off the air, and I've said this time and time again, and now I think it's starting to pick up. I say something, everyone says, oh, Jared's so crazy. Then after about 6 months of me saying the same thing, everybody else starts to pay attention. It's like Adam Vingan wrote a story about how the big boys need to step up. I'm like, I wonder who talks about the big boys all the time and the lack of big boys. But anyway. And Adam Vingan wrote about this in that article, which is with Arvidsson. I think Arvidsson's done. Now, I don't know how hurt Arvidsson is right now. I don't know if that injury that he had at the end of the year, if that's still bothering him, and that's why he is where he is. But he's done. And I don't know if it's the Bortuzzo hit in St. Louis a couple years ago, or if it's the fact that he just plays so hard all the time that a body that small can only do it for so long. But I think he's done. Like a relief pitcher who they've just used 5 years in a row, and they've used him every night, and now he just doesn't have a fastball anymore. And I think that's where Arvidsson is. Well, because David Poyle signed him to a 7-year contract a couple of years ago, there's still term on that. And nobody's just going to take a guy who's done. So I don't know exactly how you get rid of him. Now, you can buy him out because the money's not that much. But Arvidsson's not the kind of guy for a team that doesn't like to buy people out. Arvidsson's not the kind of guy you want to buy out. You can't buy out Duchesne because it's too much money and there's too much time.
Right.
And then Ellis is the wild card. Because the one thing I've learned is that the way that we feel, and I'm talking about about them, I think there's a chance some people in this league think Ryan Ellis is still a good defensive player. So they might do it. But I think it's a tall task to ask all 3 guys be gone. That being said, they lose tonight. I think it is totally on the table. I think it is 100% on the table that those guys, Johansson, I think there are a lot of guys who are gone if they lose tonight, get swept in 4 games.
You mentioned that Arvidsson, you don't think there's much left in him. The rest of the quote-unquote do-more crew, Johansson, Duchesne, Ryan Ellis, do you think that they still have something left in them?
I think that's a really tough call. So, Duchesne, I give Duchesne the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put him over here in the corner for a second. I don't know what's wrong with Johansson. And this has been a 3-year issue now. And I used to always think Johansson was like an NBA player, right? He plays at a certain speed during the regular season, and then he ramps it up in the playoffs. And I thought for a long time that was true. And the 2018 Winnipeg series, I think, was everybody stunk at some level or another in that Winnipeg series except Ryan Johansson. I thought he played really well. But I don't know why he can't turn it on. I did think for a while he kind of got lazy, he got fat and happy, and he was resting on his laurels. Now, I don't know. I think he wants to win. I think he's playing hard. I think he cares. I just don't know if he has it. I just don't know if that, to your point, is it gone? Is the talent gone? too much of being fat and happy. I can't tell you what's up with Johansson, but this is now like 4 coaches in his career, and 2 of them, well, I shouldn't say 2 of them because I don't know how Hines feels, but Tortorella definitely did not like him in Columbus. So I would be very concerned about what's wrong with Ryan Johansson, and I think that's probably a reason why there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to have any interest. So, as I said, each individual guy we can go over at length, but I think they're gone. I think that the truth is it's a different team next year, and not a different team in the sense of, well, roster turnover is 31% for every NHL team every year. No, they're gone. They are good. The 2017 group is gone if they lose tonight after this season's over. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to your call. 615-737-1025 and your text coming up if the Predators win both games. Because I'm talking about if they lose. And I'm picking them to win tonight. What if they win both games? 615-737-1025. We'll discuss next. We are live at Pete and Terry's Tavern again ahead of game number 3. That is tonight. Listen to the game every weekday for your chance to win $1,000. It's the game's 1K payday presented by Kentucky Kingdom and Hurricane Bay. Listen for keywords at 9, noon, and 3. When you hear it, go to thegamenashville.com and enter the keyword for a shot at $1,000. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's ESPN 1025, the game.
Hi, Matt. Good morning. Game 3, of course, tonight. You're back in your own building. Everybody knows the situation down 0-2, but what's the feeling with you and the group heading into Game 3 tonight, and how do you view this matchup against Carolina once more?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we played a better game last game, and I thought it could have went either way. So I think there's a few areas that we want to build on, but I think that the spirit in the room is good. Excited to get in front of the fans here at Bridgestone.
There you go. That was Matt Benning today, which I got to be honest, and the Preds PR team does a great job, so this probably isn't their fault. Matt Benning? Like Matt Benning before tonight's game? And I know it's different than normal, where like in the normal times, the locker room would be open for these kind of games. And if the locker room's open, you go talk to whoever you want or whoever wants to talk. This in the Zoom era, they put a couple players at Matt Benning? Like he was scratched in game 1. Matt Benning?
Do you think any of the other guys were like, we're just so sick and tired of answering these questions?
Yes.
I think they're at that point.
I don't think it's that they were sick and tired of it, because Matt Duchene hasn't talked to the media the entire playoffs. I think it is they just didn't want to do it. Because they know any guy who does it is going to get peppered with questions about the power play and why they can't score and why this. And so they already had Ekholm talk this week. Ellis is going to get bombarded with questions about how he's been playing. I think it was kind of like, okay, who can we put out here that makes it the least of our worries? Who makes it the least of our worries in terms of willingness to do it? And like, there's nothing you can really ask Matt Benning that is going to end up controversial one way or another. Like,
Matt Benning isn't going
really
to stir the
cares.
pot.
No, and I don't think anyone, like, you could ask the question like, Matt, why were you benched in game 1? How'd you feel about it? If you wanted to stir the pot, and don't think that I didn't think about doing that, but I just don't care enough.
At this point, it's irrelevant.
So I don't think it's irrelevant. I mean, I think it's very much not irrelevant that the lineup decisions made by the coach have been somewhat questionable in this series, and that there will be more lineup decisions made. What if they win both games? So I just said, basically, I think the 2017 crew, if they lose tonight, I think they lose the series. Now, I'm picking them to win. But if they lose tonight, I think the 2017 crew is gone. And I think that means in more ways than one. Like, there's going to be some painful realities, too, if you bump off the 2017 crew. Like, in order to get rid of Johansson, in order to get rid of Duchene, in order to get rid of all of those guys. But
it would also have a hefty price tag.
Sure, I mean, it would be hard.
Yeah.
But what if they win? What if they win both games and they hold serve and they send it back to Raleigh? Does it change your thoughts about the series? Does it make you think that perhaps they could have the confidence to compete with Carolina? What do we think? And I will state for the record, not that I cared about that Monday night season finale game, but I did take that Saturday game that got them into the playoffs seriously. Carolina won 2 at home in mid-April. The Predators won 2 at home in early May. I'm not a huge home ice guy, but I could see it mattering given the lack of fans for an entire year. Carolina had a bunch of fans. You're going to have a bunch of fans. Maybe it matters. What if they win both games?
I mean, if they win both games, and we've got ourselves a series, absolutely. And I still believe that Carolina will end up winning the series. Carolina is just a better team. Carolina is just more competitive. However, I will feel much differently about this Nashville Predators team, that they can pull things off in the playoffs. And I think one thing that I've noticed the past few months is the Predators haven't been able to adjust mid-game. But we have seen them be able to adjust and overcome things in the middle of the season. And I think that you may be able to see that a little bit in this series. So if they take both games at home, maybe I'll stop underestimating home ice a little bit, if that would play a factor.
Well, I feel like you're overestimating home ice.
I'm overestimating. I don't think so. I think that having more fans in the building for the first time in a long time will make a difference. You don't think that home ice in Raleigh played any effect?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Having 12,000 allegedly fans, maybe more.
No, I don't think it mattered. I mean, and I, again, I wasn't there, so I didn't, feel it. But it's like Robbie Stanley said this week. He's, I've just been watching hockey too much. I've just been watching it to see, and I've seen times where I feel like it matters. But I don't think it matters. And I'm not here to bump on home ice or
fair.
anything like that. I just don't think that it matters. I think the Predators lost game one because, honestly, they got lazy in the third period. And I thought they played a bad period at the wrong time. And I think they lost game two because they had no confidence in their power play after Carolina killed off the first two. And at that point, they were just the Predators played the least aggressive game I think I can remember them playing in a game that mattered in a long time. So I don't think that the 12,000 fans in Carolina are why the Predators, when they go on the power play, pass it around the perimeter the whole time and can't go tape to tape with their passing.
But we said yesterday, is that all that the Predators have to hold on to is coming back to Bridgestone Arena?
That is all they have to hold on to. So that's the difference, is that, when you don't have anything to hold on to, you hold on to anything.
Right.
Anything for hope. And that is what I think these players are doing. So I think there's maybe a mental element of it for them that says, hey, these are our fans. We're going to play hard in front of our fans. But I don't think it's going to affect the Carolina Hurricanes. And I don't think it's going to ultimately affect the game other than just the mental psyche of what it does to the Preds players. That being said, if they win the 2 games, do we have a series? And the way that you said it basically sounded like no. Because you said, do I think they're still going to win the series? No. Do I think they're going to? No. But, it'll be nice. That's kind of the question I'm asking. Do we have a series? Ian, do we have a series if they win games 3 and 4?
If they win games 3 and 4 and tie the series 2-2?
Yes.
Yes, I will say it's a series.
I think they're going to have to win game 5. I think they're going to have to go 3. And again, this is talking out of my, just completely talking out of my butt. I think they're going to have to win game 5. I think they're going to have to win 3, 4, and 5. And if you win 3, 4, and 5,
then I will feel more confident to say that there's a series.
Then you definitely have a series. Because
Right.
if anything goes 7,
Right.
that's a series. I don't think that I will consider the Predators capable of knocking off the Canes in the series if they win 3 and 4. They'll have to win 5. Now, again, we're talking about winning 3 in a row against maybe the best team in the league. And that's a tall task. So
I think 2 in a row is even a tall task.
well,
They can do it, but it would be difficult.
And, we're saying what if they win 3 and 4?
Right.
I said last week, I think that they're going to lose the first 2 in Carolina. They're going to win 3 at home. They're going to lose 4 at home. They're going to lose 5 in Carolina. That's it. But I still don't think we have a series. I still think the gap is that big between these 2 teams that even if they win games 3 and 4, I will have a hard time getting on the bandwagon that they can do this. When they played Chicago in 2017, I had a hard time getting on the belief that they could beat the Blackhawks even after they won games 1 and 2 in Chicago, because I just knew that Chicago was going to put up a fight in game number 3. But when they won in overtime at game number 3, I was like, okay, they're going to do this. And I know it's like a really tall task to ask a team to do. But had they won the first 2 games in Raleigh, we would have said, oh, yeah, this is a series. And right now, I don't think we can say that yet. If they win the 2 games here, they're just holding serve for a series that we think that they're totally overmatched in. So I still think, yes, they've got to win 3 before they can win 4, and they got to win 3 and 4 before they can win 5. But it just feels like they're still, even if they just hold serve, Carolina still has the upper hand in the series.
Well, if the Predators would have won games 1 and 2, then they would have been in control. They would have been in the driver's seat of this series. But now they're just playing catch up.
Sure.
So I wouldn't feel confident in saying, oh, yeah, no, we have a series, because I do think that Carolina is the superior team, so I won't feel confident about the Predators having the upper hand until they actually do in terms of the series, in terms of winning 3 in a row.
All right, let's get to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We're live from Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena ahead of game number 3 tonight. And again, I think the Preds are going to win game number 3. Join ESPN 1025 The Game this Sunday for our official Preds Hurricanes watch party at the Dogwood at 1907 Division Street in Midtown. The party kicks off at 11 a.m. with Ryan Porth and Caroline Fenton broadcasting live, leading up to the pregame from the arena. The puck drops at 1:30. and the fun will roll on all game long with $5 drafts. The Dogwood is one of Midtown's newest hotspots, and Sunday is a great time to try their brunch featuring the infamous 32-ounce Texas-sized mimosas. We'll see you at the Dogwood in Midtown on Sunday. Go Preds. By the way, I was not invited to that.
Sorry.
I was not invited. I think I think everyone's getting around behind my back. I wasn't invited.
Sorry.
I would like to be invited.
I'm the cool new kid. Everyone wants to hang out with me
Apparently,
instead.
I'm
well,
not
you can
invited.
still come hang out with us. We'll just wave to you and say, hey, Jared. Oh, hey, is that Jared over there?
I don't want to go to a party that I'm not invited to. It's all I'm saying. I don't want.
Sorry.
I don't want to go to a party that
It's not my party.
It clearly is your party.
I was just invited
You're
to it.
co-throwing the party.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Sorry.
Fireball Hot Take Friday continues next. Stillman Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Live from Pete and Terry's Tavern ahead of game number 3 here at Bridgestone Arena. Predators and Carolina Hurricanes. Adam Bingen wrote an interesting piece in The Athletic today, and it said the Predators' big boys are running out of time to prove their worth. Do we believe a loss tonight totally changes everything?
In terms of big boy forward staying or going, or I'm saying the Do-More crew staying or going, or in terms of the series?
Well, I mean, the series, we just said if they win games 3 and 4,
Yeah,
we're not going to be.
it's done.
Yeah, but I think they're going to do it. Ryan Porth texted me and said, and when I say do it, I meant like I think they're going to break up the 2017 crew.
I
And
think it's time.
It may be more painful. Ryan said, I think it's too simplistic to say the 2017 crew is gone after the year considering some of those contracts. I would agree. There's Arvidsson's contract. There's Johansson's contract, which I believe is 4 more years after this year, maybe 5 more years after this year. It's hard to keep up because David Poile gives everybody the max, 7 or 8 years. So they're just long. But I would say this. It's Poile's job, if they in fact allow Poile to keep doing his job, which, as Adam wrote in his piece, that David Poile is not blameless for all of the problems that the Do-More crew has had, and I would completely agree with that. But if they give David the opportunity to try to fix this, then David's got to fix it. And by fix it, he's got to get rid of some of these guys. And it's not going to be easy. And ultimately, the truth is, I don't foresee if they can't get this group together. Like if they can't get this thing to work, I don't foresee long-term anybody who's still in place still being in place.
Well, because you have to get to a certain point when it stops working.
Well, they're going to lose.
Right.
So that's like if you do that, if you get rid of all those guys, you're also going to have to get rid of some other assets in order to get rid of the things you don't want anymore. And your team is not going to be very good, and you're going to lose. And now it'll be short of blowing it up, like people were talking about, Forsberg stays and Ekholm stays, and then they re-sign Ekholm, which I'm for. But, like, those things will happen. They'll rebuild on the fly. Maybe they make the playoffs next year. Maybe they fall just short. But ultimately, like, it's hard for me to envision them being a competitor next year if they get rid of all those guys right off the jump. It's easy to say you want to get rid of somebody, but if you get rid of somebody and then you have to deal something else in order to do it, it becomes very painful. Ian, do you think this is it for the 2017 crew if they lose tonight?
Well, to y'all's point, I do think it will be tough to move all of them, right? Like, you're going to have to pick and choose, and you're only going to be able to get rid of players who other teams would like without having to really, sweeten it besides to make it, if you sweeten it too much, you're just, it's just going to damage you too much. So you have to kind of be balanced on there about what you're willing to give up to move some of these pieces before it really puts you back.
So I would be understanding of that, and that's probably why Johansson is still here, is because they can't find somebody to take him. I'm not sure you can have Ryan Johansson in your building for another year after this year. I mean, they've given him every chance. And if you give a guy every chance and then he can't do it, like, to me, now it's just hurting the team, and it hurts the morale, and it hurts, like, the credibility of the coach to be like, hey, we have certain standards that you have to meet here. What about him? Well, he's different. Okay, now what do you do? That's where I have a hard time, if they lose tonight, seeing them being able to keep everybody together. What's in our text line? 615-737-1025.
Matt texted in and said the Predators don't have a chance to win with the people they have playing right now. I say sit the guy that was injured a month ago and play the guys that got the team turned around, and you may have a chance to win a couple of games.
So I'm not benching Philip Forsberg.
No.
Because that's what that would require doing, to be like, hey, when this team turned it around,
you're not going to put
they
just
had
young
Philip
guys
Forsberg,
out there.
I'm not putting Rim Pitlick in, and I'm not taking Philip Forsberg out.
And those guys also turned it around. I'm not going to discredit it, but with wins against the Detroit Red Wings and the Dallas Stars.
I also am not going to play lineup in the text line every day. I feel like that's what the text line likes to do. Take out Bobby and put in Jimmy. Like, I mean, again, the lineup is not. I think Hines screwed it up Monday night. I understand what he did. I told you all last Friday that I disagreed with what he did. When I heard him say today in the press conference that they were going to put Tolvanen in the lineup today, I was like, yes, hallelujah, because we thought he's going to screw that up. So I was just like, oh my goodness, thank God he's going to put Tolvanen in there. I don't think they're going to put Fabro in there, though they should. I don't think they're going to put him in the lineup, but I mean, the text line wanting to play lineup every day as if that's the difference between beating the Carolina Hurricanes and not. They had 7 power plays. They didn't get a single high danger chance.
Well, do you not think that, the pairing of Yossi and Ellis on Monday contributed to the loss? And breaking up that herd line? I think that...
Oh, screw the herd line. I'm sorry, the herd line. That thing is so overrated. It mattered to me. Here's when the herd line matters. To your point that you were just making. When you play Detroit and you play Chicago and you play Dallas and a guy comes in there and pumps them a little bit, fine, great. That's when the herd line matters. When you're getting out-hit, what'd they get out-hit last night? When they get out-hit like 56-20, the herd line does not matter. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Everybody, the fourth line. When's the last time a team won the cup and it was because of the fourth line that they won that cup?
I don't know. I am just saying.
That herd line, it's like, if you had a segment of like, here's what matters and here's what doesn't matter.
Okay, well then what does matter?
The fact that they don't have high-end forwards. I mean, that's what this matters. That's what this is all about. And if I were to make a change at the top, and again, they can do whatever they want to do. If I was to make a change at the top, it would be because I am paying guys to be high-end forwards that other teams did not consider to be big boy forwards, or at least consider enough to keep them. You don't let Alexander Ovechkin walk out the door. You don't let Patrice Bergeron walk out the door. You don't let Connor McDavid leave your building. The guys you let go are Ryan Johansson, the guy who's got all the potential in the world, but Matt Duchene, all-star in Colorado, but Ottawa, but Columbus, but you don't let that guy walk out of there. And they can't draft them. And now they're too good to ever be able to draft them. And then last year when they got in the lottery, they picked a goalie. So, again, that's what this is about. It's about the high-end forwards that this group doesn't get. And that's why when we talk about the 17 crew and breaking it apart, that's why this is important, because this is the last chance for them to go up against high-end forwards and prove that they are that. And that's where I feel like ultimately the biggest issue is here. You're paying big boy forward money to guys that aren't big boy forwards. Ryan is up next. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting patiently on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, guys. I think you're right. It's 2017. This is it. If they don't win, they're done. But you got to think about the expansion draft. It's who you can expose. A guy like Ellis and Arvidsson, if you expose him, I'm pretty sure Seattle may look at him. And honestly, Seattle, you might be able to trade one of them, too, because their contracts are big, but they're not as big as like the Johansson or Duchene. A team would be willing to swallow $6-7 million. I think Arby's got 4 years left. I think Ellis has got 5 years left, compared to Duchene, who's got 7, and I think Johansson's got 5 as well.
Thank you, Ryan. So let me just say this again. I don't want to do expansion talk on the day before Game 3, or the day of Game 3. I don't want to do expansion draft talk. You have no shot of exposing Duchene or Johansson and Seattle taking them. Arvidsson, probably not. Maybe Ellis, but then you're getting nothing in return for Ellis. So, whatever. 615-737-1025. We'll have tons of time to talk about the expansion draft, especially if they don't win tonight. Stillman Company, 615-737-1025. John Hines says he's making some tweaks to the power play. What do we think of that? Next, we are live again out at Pete and Terry's Tavern. Fireball Sin Whiskey goes down so smooth, and it tastes so great. You know how much I love Fireball Whiskey. That's right. It ignites the night, and it is absolutely fantastic. Be sure to enjoy responsibly. Tons of time to celebrate what is a great time of the year. The weather is nice. People are outside more. People are getting vaccinated, so they're all hanging out, whatever. Fireball Whiskey. Ignite the night. Please do responsibly. Be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball Sin Whiskey. Stillman Company. Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are live at Pete and Terry's Tavern here outside of Bridgestone Arena ahead of game number 3, Preds and Canes tonight. Special start time, 6 o'clock. It is a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Let me say this. I thought John Hines today had a press conference today. I thought John Hines was very cordial today with the media.
It was
almost like he went out of his way, especially on Joe Rexrode and Steve Lehman's question after kind of being a little terse the other night, which, again, he can do whatever he wants. I don't care. But I thought he went out of his way to be at least a little cordial. But I guess I went first today, and I'm sure I wasn't going to be the only person that asked about the power play. But, again, the power play 0 of 7 in game number 2. Not only is it 0 of 7 in game number 2, the really good Carolina Hurricanes penalty kill, which already had a lot of confidence, has a lot more confidence after what happened in game number 2. And I don't think the Predators, when you're an underdog, I don't think you can win this kind of series if you don't produce on the power play. So I asked John Hines today about that power play and what changes perhaps they were making or adjustments. Here's what John Hines said.
Hey, John, obviously power play was an issue in game 2. I'm sure you guys met a lot about that, watched a lot of video yesterday, probably worked on it today. Kind of what is the plan for fixing that going into game 3 tonight?
Well, one, we're going to have some adjustments to the power play personnel-wise. So we've made a few changes in that way and different positions of where guys will be, and then some different guys on the power play. So that's where we started. And then we really looked at our break-ins. You know, have to have a couple adjustments on our power play break-in where we can possibly get in with more possession or more speed, so we can establish the offensive zone in that area. And then we've got to do a better job, you know, of just understanding, you know, where their pressure is coming from, how it comes, and then what are the release points that we need to be able to have to break the pressure. So I think that combination, you know, we did spend a lot of time on it, and so I think that should give us a better opportunity here tonight to rectify what happened the other night.
Ian, is that answer satisfactory for you? Do you think they fixed the power play?
I find it hard to believe that it's going to just go from 0 to 60 like that. It's going to be some type of an adjustment, I would think. But any baby steps are baby steps. They could be 1 of 5 tonight. If something like that happens, it's better than 0 of 7.
So here's my theory. And you know I love theories.
Theories are great.
I think he's changing like 1 or 2 little things personnel-wise. They're going to try to enter everything that they're going to try to do is about entering the zone against that 1-3 look. That's what it's going to be. So on that 1-3 look, where as soon as you come to the blue line, you're met immediately by the top penalty killer that they've got, and then everybody else swarms around. I think that every time they enter the zone, it's going to be one pass, another pass. One pass, one pass.
As long as it's not that drop pass in the middle of the neutral zone coming in on the power play.
Well, wasn't that Laviolette's thing?
I'm not a huge fan of the drop pass.
I think it was Laviolette who was all about the drop pass.
I've seen him do it a few times recently. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of that. Gaining momentum, getting to the blue line, and then looking for that trailer to come kind of shooting through, you know? I'm not a huge fan of that, but, you know, what do I know?
I just have such a hard time with the idea that before Ian's daughter was born. Ian, how old is your daughter right now?
She will be 2 next month.
Okay. That they've had power play problems for 6 months before Ian's daughter was born. And since then, they've changed the coach. They've changed the players. They added new players then, and it didn't work. That all of a sudden that now, hey, we're going to change the way that we enter the zone and we're going to change some players. I have a hard time believing. I look at the Predators' power play, and it reminds me a lot of the Titans' pass rush. The Titans haven't had a good pass rush since they had Albert Hainsworth and Kyle Vandenbosch. I was a freshman in college when they had those 2 guys. And so then if you don't draft anybody, you don't sign anybody, other than, you know, Clowney, you don't do any of that, you're not going to have a better pass rush. And they can try whatever they want. At least Hines admits they have a problem. Vrabel would never admit that they have a problem. I mean, I put together personnel groupings in my head, and I don't even love it. Like, here's what I put together. Again, he says they're going to change the personnel on the power play. So I got my first unit. I think it's going to be Forsberg, Tolvanen, Johansson, Yarncroke, and Yossi.
Taking Granlund off?
I am taking Granlund off.
Okay.
Got to change somebody. I mean, does Calle Yarncroke up on the first power play unit make a difference?
No.
Like the kind of difference to beat that team?
Probably not.
Okay.
Especially if he's going to be in Granlund's spot, which is just kind of camped in front of the net.
Would you put Duchesne up on that first group and drop Johansson off? Like what do you do?
It's a tough question. I would honestly consider putting Duchesne on the top power play unit because he needs some space to work. You know, he does well. He's at his most explosive and his most dangerous when there's a little bit of extra space out there. And so I would consider moving him to the top power play. Aren't you supposed to just put all your top players on the first power play unit because they play the most, and then just put together a second power play?
Yeah, but he doesn't trust Duchesne like that.
I mean, I guess he did have that bad backhanded pass that led to the breakaway.
That was a bad one.
And that was on the power play. So I would still consider putting Duchesne up there. I'm not sure who I would move down, though, to be honest. Either Tolvanen or Johansson, probably.
If you're going to move Tolvanen down, there's no reason for him to be in the game.
You don't think?
No, I mean, that's what Tolvanen gives you is that power play. And I even thought, looking back at the power plays, I thought Tolvanen was at his best. As weird as this is going to sound, I thought he actually played okay on those power plays. Like, I know that people are going to be like, I think Crispy today was like, he didn't have a single shot. I'm like, first of all, he did have one shot. Pesci blocked it, and it went all the way up into the air. And, I mean, everybody was like, where did that puck go because he shot it so hard? Yeah, he had a cross-ice pass to Duchesne. Duchesne couldn't get tape on. I mean, if Duchesne can't get his tape on it or Duchesne has to double clutch it, then Duchesne shouldn't be in the NHL.
That's one thing I kind of would like to see that they don't necessarily do on the Preds power play that you see from other power play units is the ability for those wingers to accept the one-time pass. They have Tolvanen, the lefty, on the opposite side, and Forsberg, the right shot, on his strong side. So when you see, like, for example, like Tampa Bay, they have those right and left-handed that have them switched. So when you pass it over to Stamkos, he's there for the one-timer. When you pass it over to Kucherov, he's there for the one-timer. And Kucherov on the left side there, or on his off wing, I guess, on the right side, has the ability to one-time it or pass to the bumper position.
You know what, though? They're letting you shoot that one-timer, though. And I know that Duchesne didn't. I mean, Duchesne would have had a look the other night, and he didn't take it. He double-clutched. But they're letting you take that. Like, they pack it in so well, Carolina does, that, like, Tolvanen got it on the half wall at one point, and he ended up making a nice play. Granlund wasn't ready for the pass, but they were daring him to shoot. And I think it's because they're willing to block any shot. So they're just getting close to the net, and just every single guy there is just, we're going to block this shot. And the Predators have nobody to bump everybody out of the way. And they had it for a second with Brian Boyle, but it never really became a thing a couple of years ago. And they're not great. Johansson tries to get in front of the net and make a difference. He's got a big enough body, but I don't know. I will say this, though. If they score on the power play early tonight, that will be a huge, huge shot of confidence for the Predators. Corey Curtis going to join us, News 2. His thoughts on this series, his thoughts on game number 3, his thoughts on the Predators. And again, is this it for this group? The Johanssons, the Duchesnes, the Arvidssons, the Dumore crew. Is this it? Corey Curtis, News 2, will join us next. Stillman Company, wholesaling studios powered by RumbleOn.com. We're live from Pete and Terry's Tavern here at Bridgestone Arena. We'll also be giving away Kings of Leon tickets later today, so be listening for your opportunity to win that. 1025 The Game and T-Mobile have partnered up to give you a chance to experience a Nashville SC game this season. Tune in every Monday to Darren, Donick, and Chase for the keyword to text in to win. Good luck from 1025 The Game, T-Mobile, and Nashville SC. Stillman Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Stillman Company, we are live from Pete and Terry's Tavern, Bridgestone Arena. Hey, Smashville, the game, and Dos Equis is bringing the party to you. Text the word GOLDEN to 615-737-1025 to qualify for the ultimate in-home watch party. And did I mention one lucky fan is getting tickets to a playoff game at Bridgestone Arena? Get a dose. Smashville must be 21 and older to win. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Corey Curtis, News 2, joins us now on the program on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Corey, can the Predators? I think the Predators are going to win tonight. I've said that. I think they're going to win. I still don't know if they can play with the Carolina Hurricanes. I do not know if they can make it a series. How big is the gap between the two teams, and how hard do you think it will be for the Predators to get themselves back on competitive footing with Carolina?
Well, I mean, look, I've tried to spell this out for people as plainly as I can. Number one, Carolina did exactly what they were supposed to do. Hold serve at home, all right? That's what they're supposed to do. They're the top seed. They're the division champion. They're a Stanley Cup favorite. They're one of the favorites. They're supposed to win those two games at home. There are probably 80% of the teams in the league would have gone to Carolina and dropped those two games. You know why? Because Carolina's lost 3 games in regulation at home the entire year. Now, that doesn't completely excuse everything for the Preds, and I'm not making excuses for them, but it is acknowledging this is an elite team in the National Hockey League. They've got really, really good players. I mean, their first 2 lines are significant, okay? And they're better than the Preds' first 2 lines. You know, how big is the gap? I can't quantify that for you other than to say when the Preds beat them at home on that Saturday night game 3-1 that got them into the playoffs, they played maybe their finest game of the season, all right? That's the way they got to play. They've got to be darn near perfect to beat this team. You know, being at home, you know, it's going to help. It's going to give them some juice. It's going to give them some energy. And they've got to be better. They've got to put more pressure on the goalie. You know, that's for sure. Do I think they can win? Sure. But, you know, like I said, this is an elite team in the league. And I'm not excusing losing. I'm just saying a lot of teams are going to lose to Carolina.
Do you believe that the Predators have another level that they can play at that they haven't so far in this series?
Yeah, I do. I think they can play better. You know, look, Carolina has completely quashed them out on the power play. They've got to come up with a way to get the puck into the zone and get it going. They've given up a couple of goals, not a lot, you know, that were, you know, suspect, you know, where they were kind of standing around watching. But I mean, look, both these games have been, you know, kind of where the Preds needed to be. You know, tied going into the third period and 1-0 until there was 1 minute left. But they've got to find a way to get more pressure on the goalie and to get some pucks on the net. And I think John Hines is right, you know, and we've talked about this for years, Jared. The Preds players have to be the Preds best players, okay? And so far in this series, the Preds' best players haven't really been the best players. They got to step up. They got to be the guys. I know they have more game, and they've got to show it.
Do you think that, and I have this theory that I think they're going to win tonight, but if they lose tonight, I think they get bounced in 4. If they get bounced in 4, I think David Poile has no choice but to really move on from the crux of the 2017 team. Like, Pekka Rinne's probably not coming back, but Johansson, Ellis, Arvidsson, you name it, I think they could be on the move. And I think there could be other moves too, Duchesne, Fabro, others that could really tear apart what we thought this team was going to be. Do you think that Poile will make that move if this team is not competitive in the 2 games at home?
Well, I mean, look, number one, I think they've been competitive in the 2 games in Carolina. All right, like I said, those games both went to the third period. Was Carolina the better team? Yes, they were. But do we say the Preds played hard, they competed, they were physical? Yes, we do, and those weren't things we said about this Predator team necessarily when the season started. So I think that there is a distinctive difference there. Look, whether they win these 2 games here at home or not, I think that there are some pretty large changes that need to be made to this hockey team involving several of those players. And I think some of those changes are destined to happen regardless if the Predators win these 2 games or even move on from this series or not. You've got some players who are making a lot of money who I know some guy who repeatedly says aren't paying what they owe on a regular basis. If they step up and they play well for 3 games, that's not enough. They've got to be those players all the time, and they're not. And so you've got to find guys who are going to be those players all the time. So I think regardless, Jared, they've got to make changes.
By the way, Pay What You Owe was so last year, Corey Curtis. I mean,
okay,
it's now the Do More crew.
Do more? Okay. Do more.
The Do More crew.
Regularly.
Because it's not just one guy.
Game.
I will
no,
argue.
It's not.
I will argue this. I don't get too caught into the discussion about, hey, they've played Carolina pretty well 5-on-5, and they've not. For some reason, that was the narrative that John Hines started after the game was over. I watched the neutral broadcast on CNBC. I did not hear A.J. Malesko at any point talk about how the Predators did pretty well tonight, and then all of a sudden, John Hines says that after the post-game press conference. Now I got the local TV, post-game show saying that, hey, they played great 5-on-5. And then I heard a lot of that sentiment yesterday. I'm not buying that. I mean, I asked you if they've got another gear to play at. I think that they really have to play a lot better because I think right now Carolina is really taking it to them, and I think the Predators are backing down a little bit, and I didn't like that in Game 2.
Look, I mean, do I think that, 5-on-5 they've been great? No, because they don't have the goals to show for it. But as I've said, I think they've competed, but they've got to be faster, and they've got to make more happen. They've got to be, like I said, they've got to be faster. They've got to be stronger with the puck. They've got to get more time in the offensive zone. I mean, when Carolina gets going, they are moving, not 2 times faster than the Preds. They're moving like 5 times faster than the Preds. I mean, they are cranked up and moving. They are moving that puck, and I think the Preds will be better at home because of the home crowd and the energy of Bridgestone Arena. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. But those are Carolina's a tough place to play. Like I said, they've lost 3 games there all year, and that's not just to Nashville. That's to Tampa, to Florida, to Dallas, to all those teams. So I give the Hurricanes some credit, and like I keep saying, they're an elite team, and the Preds are not an elite team. And I think we all need to understand that.
Corey Curtis, News 2, is our guest. Do you think the Predators get it done tonight?
Oh, gosh. It's a flip of the coin. It really is. History says they do. I think, it would be easy for Carolina to come in and feel, okay about where they're at. So I guess if I had to say so, I would say sure. I would go with the Preds tonight, but in a coin flip.
Corey Curtis, News 2, Fireball Hot Take Friday. What's your hot take this week?
You know what? Like I said, they need speed. They need skill at the top. I think I would move Matt Duchene up to the front line. I'd put him up there with Forsberg and Johansson and see what happens. You know why? Because it can't be much worse. All right? They need to make something happen. And I don't know if Victor Arvidsson is healthy completely or not. I just know this. He's not the same guy that we saw 2 and 3 years ago. He doesn't have the same burst. He doesn't create the space, and he doesn't get the finish that he used to have. And so I would move him down. I would move Duchene up and see if it can create something.
I have a theory on Arvidsson, Corey, and that is that like a relief pitcher that has been used about 80 times a season for 3 straight years, I think that Arvidsson, that's a lot of pounding that little body has taken over the last 4 or 5 years. And I just think the injuries, the Bortuzzo hit last year in St. Louis, I think he sustained a pretty serious injury in the final game of the Arizona Bubble Series. And even this year, the injury he took, I think that Arvidsson, I think it's caught up with him. I think that he's a reliever that just doesn't have any more gas.
Without that 5th gear, he's not the same guy.
Nope.
He's just not. And I like Victor Arvidsson, and I appreciate his effort, but the production is the production, and it has dropped off significantly. I equate it along the lines of what you're talking about to Marty Erat. And when Marty Erat was here, when the postseason would get here, teams would just target him and just beat on him. And I think they do the same thing to Victor Arvidsson.
Corey Curtis, News 2, as always. News 2 has great coverage. Corey, appreciate it. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, hopefully they could take 2 and make it a 3-game series. That would be nice.
Oh, would that be nice? Oh, it would be so nice. Corey Curtis, as always, joining us on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. I will say this about what Corey said about the idea of making it a 3-game series. And I'm not, again, I think they're going to win tonight. I think the Predators will win tonight. It would just be nice to have a series. Like, it would be nice to have, like, because if you get to game 6 and you're either up 3-2 or down 3-2, or, like, that's some exhilarating, exciting hockey. It would just be nice for the Predators to make this a series. And again, then when they get there, we'll want them to win that series if they make it that. But it would just be nice for them to make it a series.
If they do make it a series and ultimately end up losing the series, do you still think that David Poile made the right or wrong decision at the deadline?
I think David Poile made the wrong decision. I don't
Even if they win?
Even if they win this series against Carolina, then get back to me on that.
All right.
One. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Athletic went over all the value that you would have to give up in order to get Julio Jones. What do we think of that? And do we think the Titans should do something similar? 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman Company. We're live at Pete and Terry's Tavern. We'll take a Preds breather. We'll get in this Julio Jones discussion. Go to thegamenashville.com. Check out Nashville's best deals. This week it's buy one, get one free tickets to Beach Bend Park and Splash Lagoon. Beach Bend Park is your ticket to summer fun. Double your fun, double your savings with buy one, get one admission, 2 parks, 2 tickets for the price of 1. Get yours now at thegamenashville.com. Stillman Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app. Derrick Henry wants Julio Jones. That much we know yesterday.
Titan
a tweet.
TF up.
He said Titan TF up in reference to wanting Julio Jones. Now, we had Turron Davenport on yesterday, and TD says it doesn't make a lot of sense. It has never made a lot of sense to me for the Titans to get Julio Jones. Julio is 1, old, 2, expensive, and 3, injury prone. And I don't like old, expensive, injury prone players. Now, Julio's pretty good, and it does somewhat fit a position of need. But again, he's old, he's expensive, and he's injury prone. I don't like those 3 things. Now, The Athletic apparently put together trade offers for Julio Jones. So what they did was they took each beat writer that covers a certain team and said, okay, put together your offer for what your team that you cover would make for Julio Jones. For example, the 49ers offer the second-round pick in 2022 on the condition that Julio plays at least 12 games next year and one of the 49ers 2023 third-round picks. But the 49ers would need Atlanta to take money on the Julio deal, convert it to some sort of signing bonus so that they would pay for Julio to go to San Francisco. So that's a second rounder if Julio plays 12 games and a third rounder in 2023. So a second and a third.
And I don't think that's what Atlanta wants to do, because I think the whole point of them trading Julio is to free up cap space. They have the second smallest amount of cap space left. They have, for about $400,000 left in their cap space.
Can't sign their rookies right now.
Right. They
so
need
the
$8 million.
Patriots make the offer of N'Keal Harry, first round. It sounds like Harry's a bust.
Mm-hmm.
First rounder N'Keal Harry, a conditional third rounder that will be a second rounder if Julio plays 15 games. So again, the first team and the second team are not comfortable with a second rounder for Julio Jones unless there is some sort of condition tied to the amount of games he plays. The third team is the Ravens. The Ravens beat writer offers a 2022 second-round pick, a 2022 fourth-round pick, and receiver Miles Boykin. The decision that the Falcons beat writer made on all of this is that they are passing on all of the offers. So they would pass on a second and a third and a play, or a second and a fourth and a player for Julio from the Ravens. I'm sorry. If they're passing on that, I have no interest in Julio Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. TD said today on, whether it was Robbie and Rex or the midday show, I don't remember what it was, but they said the Titans would likely have to give up a 2022 second rounder and someone else. They mentioned, who did they mention? I don't remember who they mentioned. But TD also mentioned Zach Ertz. And if he had to choose between acquiring Julio Jones and acquiring Zach Ertz, he preferred Zach Ertz, because you don't have to give up as much to get Zach Ertz, but the con for that is that he's old and also injury prone, and you only get more injury prone the older that you get.
I don't want either guy if I have to give up anything I want in return to get him. Neither guy is that good anymore. Julio is not a second-round pick for Julio Jones. Julio is old. Julio is hurt.
Well, I
like,
think
you don't give up a second-round pick for that. Second-round picks are supposed to be stars in the NFL. Like, your starters, you're supposed to get starters in the third and the fourth round. You're supposed to get stars in the first and the second round. I'm not giving up a star for an old, injured, expensive wide receiver. And when I see this and I'm like, conditional second round, I'm sorry. The Falcons have been lousy for the last 3 or 4 years. Is Julio still that good?
Well, I guess you have to weigh, are you planning for the future? Because if you are, then no, don't take Julio. But we also have to talk about that Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry window.
But he's not a going-for-it guy. A going-for-it guy is a guy who is good now. Julio is maybe good with a bunch of conditions. Like, I think if you're, to me, again.
You don't think he would instantly elevate the Titans' offense? I think he would. And I think that if you want to capitalize on that 2-year window.
But he's old and he's hurt. Like, this goes back to Clowney last year, where Clowney was, Clowney makes a lot of sense, except that he doesn't get a lot of sacks, he gets hurt, and he may not try all that hard, may not be a great team player. So then Clowney shows up, and he didn't want to go to training camp because, again, he's not a great team player. You know, the whole does he give a crap? You know, was up there, and it was, hey, if I'm going to take a lesser deal, I'm not going to training camp now, I'll tell you what. So already that's a little bit of a question. So you have that with Clowney. Then the second element with Clowney was he got hurt. The third thing was he didn't get any sacks. The fourth thing was he's not really a team player because he had the option to either play through the knee injury or not, and he chose to not play through the knee injury. So we're sitting there, we had all these conditions on Clowney. Well, Clowney would be good if, which is why I didn't want any part of Clowney. So then they signed Clowney because everybody was looking at the whole if element of it, and instead of the here are some of the issues, and I'm presenting these issues, and then it's like, well, but don't you think Julio makes the Titans elite? Not if he's too old, not if he's too hurt, not if you have to give up your left tackle and the money you owe him in order to get him. He's too old, he's too hurt, he's too expensive. And you're not only that, you're committed to him for more than just this year. So I am so against Julio Jones and the Titans getting him. But now, if you told me that he'd restructure his deal, so you're only tied to Julio this year, and then once he restructures that contract, you're tied to him for this year, and you give up a fourth or a fifth to get him, then I'm okay with it. But a second, and the fact that the Athletic guy is turning down second-round picks for Julio Jones?
Second and fourth, and also a player.
Hard pass. No.
I just think
no on Julio Jones. What you're thinking is what Corey Curtis and Joe Rex wrote, banged the table for Clowney last year. I just think if they add Clowney, that defense that wasn't terrible in 2019 but so needed a sacker will be elevated to the next level. And then Clowney didn't go to training camp. Clowney got hurt. Clowney didn't give up sacks, and he didn't sacrifice himself for the team. He didn't do any of those things, and you got no sacks, and you didn't get to roll over that $12.5 million you spent on Clowney, which could have saved you Jonnu Smith.
Will you ever get over Clowney? I don't think so. Will you ever get over Clowney? I don't think so.
Because it was stupid.
Okay.
It was so stupid, and we begged on this show, don't do it. And everybody got caught up in the same thing everybody's getting caught up now with Julio. Now, I will say this. There is more of a chance, in my opinion, that Julio would succeed than there is that Clowney was going to succeed. But again, the ifs are still there. And in the NFL, you don't get ifs. You don't give up second-round picks for ifs. The Raiders give up second-round picks for ifs. The Jets give up second-round picks for ifs. You don't give up a second-round pick for an if. You can't do that. You can't give up that kind of capital. Now, again, the Titans are drafting guys I've never heard of in the second and third round, so maybe it doesn't matter. But you can't do that. You cannot. I mean, again, Caleb Farley. And I'd much rather draft Caleb Farley than trade for Julio Jones. But there's so many ifs associated with Caleb Farley that it's like, you don't use a first-round pick on if. But they did, so maybe they will on Julio because they did with Clowney, they did with Beasley. Again, and with Beasley, the if was if he likes football and if he plays hard. Those are some big ifs. And they gave him $9.5 million. I mean, we cannot be a society of football fans who just overlook the if every time.
Look, I'm not for it. I'm just saying I understand the rationale of, okay, it would make sense. You know, Arthur Smith coming into his first year, it would make sense for him to clean house in Atlanta and trade him to his former team. It would make sense because the Titans are I think you feel good about Josh Reynolds just slipping into the wide receiver 2 spot and that's good enough?
Yes.
I don't think that's good enough.
Yes, I do. See, I think Josh Reynolds is the perfect thing to happen to the Titans because Josh Reynolds is going to give you Corey Davis production, maybe a little bit less. He's going to give you Corey Davis production at a much cheaper price.
Is that our ceiling? Is Corey Davis production?
I don't need a star number 2 wide receiver when I have a 1,000-yard receiver and a 2,000-yard running back. I don't need a second star. I don't need to be Peyton Manning in the Indianapolis Colts with Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Edgerrin James. I don't need that. Like, would it be nice? I mean, yeah, it'd be nice. But I have to give up something in order to get what you're talking about. And then even if I give up to get what you're talking about, there's the if.
But the Titans have had a 1,000-yard wide receiver, have had a 2,000-yard running back, and they haven't been able to make it past last year. They didn't make it past the first round of the playoffs.
And you know why they didn't?
So if you are sufficient with that,
you know why they didn't? Because they can't play defense. That's why. The Titans last year offense
so you feel
was not the
exponentially
problem.
better about the defense this year to just leave the offense how it was.
I do not feel exponentially better about the defense right now at all. I am optimistic the defense will be better under the sentiment that it can't be worse than it was last year. But to your point, I am not optimistic about the Titans defense, especially knowing who is in charge of the Titans defense. But yes, the belief right now, the way it looks, is that they pretty much have given the offense Josh Reynolds, and that's pretty much it. It's like, okay, you're going to lose Jonnu Smith, you're going to lose, and, you go with it. Yes. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Because I think when you have star players in sports, you need your star players to carry you, and if they can't carry you, then they're not star players, i.e. the Predators. And so to me, Derrick Henry's a star player, A.J. Brown's a star player, you're paying Tannehill a bunch of money, they got to carry the team. No handouts. No help for those guys. They're your stars. You're paying your left tackle a ton of money. Those are your stars. Those guys got to play. You're paying your left guard a ton of money. Those are your stars. So to me, I don't need to add. But then when I have to give up something, and then there's the huge if factor on Julio, I have a hard time with that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get your thoughts in on that one. 615-737-1025. Again, the if on Julio. And then what I got to give up, boy, that is a lot. 615-737-1025. We'll hit the headlines with Caroline next as well. Stillman Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's give away a pair of tickets to see Kings of Leon at Ascend Amphitheater. That's right. Kings of Leon to see Ascend Amphitheater, or to see Kings of Leon at Ascend Amphitheater on Thursday, August 12th. Be caller 5-615-737-1025, and you are going to see Kings of Leon at Ascend Amphitheater on Thursday, August 12th. Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. Fireball Hot Take Friday. That was a very Fireball Hot Take segment.
That was fun.
ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app. Stillman Company, ESPN 1025 The Game, and T-Mobile. I don't know why I said Stillman Company. We have nothing to do with this, but they have partnered to give you a chance to experience a Nashville SC game this season. Tune in every Monday to Darren, Donick, and Chase for the keyword to text in to win. Good luck from 1025 The Game, T-Mobile, and Nashville SC. Stillman Company wishes you good luck, too. We're just not officially in a capacity to wish you good luck on that T-Mobile.
Just casually, informally wishing you the best of luck.
We will have Hal Gill in 30 minutes. Hal Gill will join us on the program. His thoughts ahead of game number 3. Okay, though, it's time now for Headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ian Rappaport released the details of Tim Tebow's contract today. He just recently signed a contract to be a tight end with the Jacksonville Jaguars with his former college coach, Urban Meyer. So he signed a $920,000 contract, 1 year, no money guaranteed, and an injury split, which is the absolute minimum, which doesn't really make you feel any much better about him officially making the team. But that didn't deter people from buying Tim Tebow jerseys today. The top 5 most sold things at jerseys, bags, T-shirts, hats, whatever it may be, the top 5 spots on the NFL Shop bestseller list today, all Tim Tebow merchandise.
Yeah. Do we think he's going to make the team? I was thinking about this today. Like, would Urban do all the hoopla if he was just going to cut him in a month? Like, would they really go through all the BS? Would they? Why?
I mean, I've asked myself, why has Urban Meyer done a lot of things the past month or so?
Well, I've asked myself that about Urban Meyer a lot in the history of Urban Meyer.
Yes. So I do think it's all about the hoopla. I do think they just like being in the media. And let me say, I know he doesn't care, but Trevor Lawrence was just the first overall pick, and he will be the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and nobody is talking about it. Everyone is talking about Tim Tebow maybe potentially making the team. So I just think Urban Meyer likes being in the conversation. And I think that he just loves being around Tim Tebow so much that he's willing to throw money at him just to have him around.
So you think he's going to make the team?
I don't know. Like, I think that he will be able to be an NFL caliber tight end?
No, nobody thinks that.
But do I think he makes the team? Kinda.
Ian, you think he makes the team?
If he's already leading in jersey sales, if anything, it'll just be some type of promotional thing. So I'm going to say yes.
I think he makes the team. I don't think you do the hoopla if you're not going to put him on your team. And I think it's so bad for the NFL, and yet I think it's great for the Titans. So you know what? Go Tebow. I think it's so stupid. I think it sends all the wrong messages. But you know what? Can't bake their bread. I can only worry about mine.
That's true.
What's next?
That's true. So Don Mattingly, Marlins manager, was asked about no-hitters in baseball. So there have been 6 no-hitters so far this season in baseball. All-time record is 8, set in 1884. And we're already at 6, and it is May. Here is what Don Mattingly had to say about the no-hitters so far this season.
Oh, absolutely. If a guy throws a no-no, it's great for us. I'm just talking about it more in the, you asked me about I thought about him.
Yeah.
These no-hitters, I think in general in the game, I think that's really more of the talk is that, where does this get better? Because it's great for your team when a guy throws a no-no. It's great for that guy. It's a great accomplishment, right? Mm-hmm. But when there's so many so early, strikeouts are at an all-time high, things like that. So it tells you that there are some issues within the game that need to be addressed, and they're going to take a while because this started 15, 16 years ago with the swing changes and the philosophy changes, with all the the analytics of the 3-run homer and all that stuff, and so it's been coming and it's been building, and now we're at a point where I think it's getting so much more attention because it's just a game that sometimes is unwatchable. You see guys you talk to and they don't even like watching games because there's nothing that goes on in them.
So in 1992, people don't totally remember this, but the reason the strike happened in 94 was because the TV deal that CBS signed, I believe in '89, was like football money for baseball. And CBS had an out, and they took it. They were paying like $2 billion a year, and they took it because they were losing money left and right on baseball.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, Pew Research did a poll about how much people enjoy football compared to baseball. And at that point in time in 1992, 3-1 preferred football to baseball. What would that number be today? 15-1, 20-1, 25-1? The truth is, Don Mattingly's right. It's going to take a long time because all these changes happen 15, 20 years, but it's longer than that. This is a 30-year disaster, and baseball's still going to make money, but, I mean, the sport has never been more dead in my life than it is now. These no-hitters are just so brutal for the game, and it's like nobodies are throwing them, too.
Right.
Like nobody's. Like, next thing you know is you'll see Cody Iggy throwing a no-hitter. It's just ridiculous. And, so baseball's had 30 years to correct it. They've taken the money every time. I don't think they'll change in any regard. So I think he's right, but it's not going to change.
No.
It's baseball. It's just baseball. No, good luck, baseball.
And I would say I'm the overwhelming minority of people around my age who genuinely enjoy the game of baseball. Whenever I say, I want to go to a baseball game, I'm watching a baseball game, so many people say, why? It's so boring. And I think that all of these no-hitters are contributing to that. I mean, batting averages are at an all-time low. Teams are averaging a little bit less than 8 hits a game. 8 hits a game.
It's boring.
Through a couple days ago. That's the second lowest mark in baseball history behind 1908.
It's boring.
It's at an all-time low, and it's really sad because baseball is such a great game.
Yeah,
I genuinely
love
baseball, but it's going down a really scary path. I fear for the future of it.
Think about the 2000s when, it was mainstream.
Long Gone Summer.
I mean, right
Mark
now,
McGwire.
Fox cannot get baseball off its channel. It's like, hey, we want to put the ALCS on FS1. Like, they cannot get it off the TV fast enough. You think they'd ever do that to the NFL?
Never.
You think they'd ever say,
people
hey,
are
we'd
clawing
like
to
put,
get NFL games?
You think the NFL would never let them put a game on FS1 ever? And so I get too worked up thinking about what's next.
So The Athletic released new power rankings today. They released them a few days ago and kind of restructured after the first few games in the playoffs. Carolina is number 4 in their power rankings. They said that Carolina just has an insane amount of depth that other teams just don't have. There are no Hurricanes that have 2 5-on-5 points, but 9 Hurricanes have at least 1 5-on-5 point, and all but 4 have positive expected goal rates. So just the number of guys that they have, just go-to guys, almost their entire lineup is a go-to guy. And we've said that several times about the Predators, that there's no big boy forward. There's no go-to guy. Just pass him the puck and you know that he can make a goal. Carolina has a lot of those guys, and I think that that's the big difference between Carolina and the Predators.
So who's ahead of Carolina?
The Avalanche I know is number 1, and I can pull up the rest.
Carolina's pretty freaking good.
Carolina is pretty freaking good.
I have a hard time. I think they're going to put Tampa ahead of them because Tampa's beaten Florida in 2 games. So I'm guessing Tampa's probably ahead of them, and I'm guessing, I don't know, Vegas.
Maybe.
Vegas
Leafs,
didn't they lose last night? So
Vegas tied their series, I think.
Okay. So, look, Carolina's good, man. Carolina's good, and that's why it's going to be even harder for the Predators to win this series. Those are headlines with Caroline. Hal Gill in less than 30 minutes. Coming up next, the 3 things we want to see from the Predators tonight, 3 things we do not want to see in game number 3. The Predators take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Stillman Company. It's ESPN 102.5. The game, you will see that Happy Hiller logo right there smiling right at you when you watch the game tonight, right on that Bridgestone Arena ice, because Hiller, they're proud supporters of the Nashville Predators. Tax credits for energy-efficient home systems are back this year. When you put Energy Star certified equipment in your home, you'll earn a tax credit with the IRS. This month, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical is helping you keep more money in your pocket and doubling your tax credit when you purchase select new HVAC systems or tankless water heaters. And they're offering special financing so you make no payments, 0 No payments until next year. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details. As always, happy you will be, or the service is free. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds and the Vols. Hiller, call the Happy Face truck today. Stillman Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Ian, guess who is here at Pete and Terry's Tavern?
Well,
we are
I
getting
heard
ready.
you guys talking there.
It's the Animal. The Animal is back at Pete and Terry's Tavern. We have not been here in over a year. What was it, Ian? You calculated it like a year.
March 5th or March 2nd, I think it was the last time for you, and then March 5th was the last time for Floyd and Steve Lehman.
I mean, March 2nd, the day of the tornado, an Animal is here. I have not seen Animal in forever. Life is returning to normal. Caroline doesn't know Animal.
I don't, but I feel so lucky to be in his presence.
I feel like we might need to kick Hal Gill off the show in 30 minutes, put Animal on, because, Ian, you will remember the one time we put Animal on the show. I have never heard Ian so scared for his finger on the dump button than when we had Animal on the show, who spent an entire segment telling me to stop whining because the Predators were going to beat Chicago.
Jared the Whiner.
Yes. And so it is rocking and rolling at Pete and Terry's Tavern. So we got a lot to get to as we get ready for game number 3 tonight right here, ESPN 1025 The Game. Special time, 6 o'clock. Take it, Animal. Special time, 6 o'clock tonight. Let's get right into our 3 things. 3 things we want to see, 3 things we don't want to see. We start at the top.
Number 1.
I want to see the Predators score on the power play. I mean, I think that is by far, obviously, the most has-to-happen thing in this game. Because right now, Carolina's got all the momentum, and the second they take a penalty, they have all the confidence in the world they're going to kill it. And if they start killing penalties tonight, they're going to start taking more penalties because they know they'll be able to get away with it. Now, I don't believe in cheating as far as referees are concerned and umpires and things like that. But I think the league likes series. I think they like more games. I think it was like I heard the NBA a couple years ago when Steph and the Warriors got Kevin Durant. They had to pay back money to the league because they didn't play enough playoff games. Or the league had to pay back money to the TV partners because they didn't get enough playoff games. They like series.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to get the whistle tonight. But if you can't do anything with it, then it's not going to matter.
It's getting to this point where the Predators should just say, actually, no, we're good.
Right, like football, decline the penalty.
Yeah, we're good.
But they don't have a choice as far as scoring on the power play. If they don't score on the power play tonight, they have no chance of winning. So the first thing for me is they say they've retooled it. They say they've changed how they're entering. They're changing personnel. They got to score on the power play. That's the first thing.
Number 2.
They need high-quality scoring chances, and that's not just on the power play. That's in general. I asked John Hines after the game on Wednesday night about high-quality chances because we can look at the shot chart and say the Predators outshot Carolina. And tonight, the Predators might outshoot Carolina. But one narrative that has been spun after the first 2 games is just how great Alex Nedeljkovic is playing. Bull
stuff.
Yes. Every puck he's looking right at. He has not made any difficult saves in the series. Nedeljkovic might be the greatest goalie of all time. He might be better than Martin Brodeur. He might be better than Dominic Hasek. He may be the best goalie who ever lived, and we just don't know about it. But he has not been tested in this series. And the Predators have got to put high-quality chances together because I don't think Nedeljkovic is that good. And before I start anointing him the greatest goalie who ever lived, which I'm starting to hear now of, hey, you got to credit Nedeljkovic. No, I don't. The Predators have got to make his life harder. They've got to get to the front of the net. They got to deflect pucks. They need high-quality scoring chances. I think if they get that, then let's see if Nedeljkovic is that good.
I mean, how many shots did the Predators have last game? 30, 31?
32, I think.
32. I wonder how many of them were shot directly to Nedeljkovic's chest.
With him looking right at it.
With him looking right at it, right to his glove, right to his chest, right to his pads. The narrative of, the Preds outshot the Carolina Hurricanes, by 1. And also, how many of those were real quality shots? I think we counted 2. 2 that really probably could have gone in. 1, and maybe we're kind of stretching on 2. So, yes, sure, they had 32 shots. Yes, they outshot the Carolina Hurricanes, but I need to see those shots go in, or at least make Nedeljkovic work.
Yeah, just high-quality chances.
Right.
And if he steals the game and they win the series, fine. But I'm not, this parade of Alex Nedeljkovic is so great, I just can't do it.
Number 3.
Out-hit the Hurricanes. They haven't done it in either game this series. In fact, they have been very clearly out-hit by the Canes. And that's not going to work. They got to out-hit them in this game. The one game they won here at Bridgestone Arena on that Saturday night where I felt like they kind of gave it their best crack at it, the Carolina Hurricanes did. The Predators out-hit them. They just took it to them. I think they were +7 or +9 in hits that game. To me, that's going to be the whole key is can they be more physical? Because they're not more physical than Carolina, but they try to pretend themselves that they could be. They have got to out-hit the Hurricanes tonight. No more ifs, ands, or buts. That takes us to the 3 things we don't want to see.
Number 1.
Early failure in this game, and that could be whether or not you blow 3 power plays to start the game. It could be whether they take an early lead. It could be whether you have some dumb penalties and all of a sudden now they're up 2-0. But early failure will zap any confidence that this crowd gives you tonight. I do think the crowd is going to be energized. I think the team is banking on the crowd being energetic. Any early failure tonight, I think, will zap the confidence of the Predators. I don't think they can afford that.
Number 2.
It's time for the guys who are paid money to play to do so. No ghost city from the guys who are paid. Now, Matt Duchene, you can say whatever you want about Matt Duchene. I've at least recognized him in the series. Now, some of it's bad, but some of it's good. I mean, I think Duchene's played an okay series. Arvidsson has done nothing in this series. Johansson has done nothing in this series. I guess I can't say I haven't noticed Ellis, but I have noticed Ellis in a bad way. I mean, it is time for the guys, the Do More crew, to not be invisible. You are on home ice. You are going to be out there on the power play. They're going to let you play. They're going to put those guys out there tonight. For me, it's time for those guys. No ghost city from the guys who are paid to be playoff performers on this team. Whether or not they are rightly or wrongly playoff guys, paid to be playoff guys, Matt Duchene was brought here for the playoffs. Ryan Johansson was extended and was actually brought here for the playoffs. So it's time for those guys to step it up because I see their stars. I haven't seen the stars from the Predators.
Number 3.
I do not want to see Eric Goodbranson tonight. And I know he's going to play, but I don't want to see him. He stinks. I mean, like, I'm not – I know that people probably – like, Adam Vingan won't say somebody stinks, right? Like, he'll say –
He says it very eloquently.
Right. He'll say they're a replacement level player because he talks to these guys in the locker room in normal times, and I get it. He stinks. Like, he straight up stinks. He was on the ice in the one meaningful goal that Carolina scored the other night. He fell flat on his rear end. They can't have that. They need more speed. They need somebody in there that can make a difference. I think Fabro probably can. I don't want to see Eric Goodbranson tonight. He stinks. It's almost like they traded for him, so because they traded for him, they feel like they got to use him. So those are the 3 things that we want to see, 3 things we don't want to see. Coming up next, we may have to change the name of Caroline's.
All right, stop.
We may have to change the name.
All right.
Caroline's.
It's already Stillman and Company. Give me one thing. Let me have one thing.
We got the headlines of Caroline's too. Caroline's got rocked last night.
I did
Just
get
rocked.
I did get rocked.
Can I make it 2-0 2 weeks in a row? That's next. And we will pick our Preds game at the end, although I've told you, I think Preds are going to win tonight. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025, live from the Wholesaling Studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. Pete and Terry's Tavern, Bridgestone Arena, outside getting you ready again. Special time, 6 o'clock for tonight's game. Hal Gill in 15 minutes. Stillman and Company. Fireball, hot take Friday. I love Fireball. Cinnamon whiskey. It goes down so smooth. And it tastes so great. There is no better way. And I hear that our voices are booming over towards Broadway and down to Mumbrian. All the people that are out there going to bars, Fireball cinnamon whiskey. Nothing better than ice-cold Fireball cinnamon whiskey, and no better way to celebrate big wins than with ice-cold Fireball cinnamon whiskey. That's right. Ignite the night. Please do it responsibly. Be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball cinnamon whiskey. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. I got to tell you, man. Am I rooting for what? Against. Animal just asked me if I'm rooting for or against the Titans getting Julio Jones. See, this is what
That
happens.
wasn't clear in the earlier segment.
This is what happens when we are at Pete and Terry's Tavern. Is now all of a sudden my mind is all over the place. But my mind is going right back to where it should, which is beating Caroline Fenton. And I didn't even think I'd have this much success this early. And I'm not one to gloat.
All right. Calm down
I'm
over
not one
there.
to gloat. Hal Gillen
Has
10
one
minutes.
good day.
I'm not here to gloat, but I'm up 1-0 in weeks, and we're doing best out of 4 weeks for our month-long challenge, which we still don't know what Caroline's going to have to do if she loses. But we were tied entering Thursday. I thought there was a chance I might lose this week. And then yesterday, Caroline took one. She thought she took easy ones. She took the Braves money line.
I thought the Leafs were a lock. Excuse me for thinking that they were the better team.
The Leafs, I told you. Crazy things happen to the
I don't
Leafs in the
listen to you.
Well, I'm right. That's why you're about to lose your second week in a row. The Pacers +4. But I did send her a text last night before the end of the Red Sox-Blue Jays game when the Blue Jays were up in the ninth inning and the Sox came back to win. So that's probably what I get.
I was having
for
such a
gloating.
nice dinner. One of my friends is in town. We were catching up. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Caroline
and
has more friends in Nashville than I do. She's lived here for 6 weeks.
Well, I mean, people at the station like me more, too, because I was invited to the party on Sunday that you weren't.
I was not invited to the party.
But I got a text from Jared, and I was like, oh, now what? And I checked all the scores, and I ruined a lovely dinner with my friend who's in town.
Time for Caroline's.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Caroline's. Here on Stillman Company.
On ESPN
102.5.
Caroline, 12-10.
Yesterday
Last
really
chance to
set me
dance.
back. Yesterday set me back really bad. I mean, what was I doing picking the Pacers? I mean, I really put a lot of hope in DeMontis Sabonis, but I mean, you said, oh, Russell Westbrook isn't good in the playoffs. Okay, sure. Yeah, just has an insane game. Chicago's traveling to the Bronx. I am taking the White Sox money line. I'm taking the lefty on the mound with a 1.47 ERA. Only has one loss this season. Yankees are putting Jordan Montgomery out on the mound with a 4.75 ERA. And look, aside from Garrett Cole, and I know that Corey Kluber just had a no-no the other day, I mean, the Yankees pitching just isn't great, aside from Garrett Cole, essentially. So Jordan Montgomery has given up 22 runs in his past 35 innings, and the White Sox are good. They are really good. They have that top spot in the NL Central. And Tim Anderson, for some reason, is just one of my favorite players in the MLB, so I'm going to take the White Sox money line.
So I want to take the Yankees here, but I'm not. Carlos Rodon is pitching for the White Sox. He's been fantastic this year. He's got a no-hitter already this season, though that apparently is not all that special anymore. I'm going to take the White Sox. It's even money right now. I'm going to take the White Sox on the money line here. This seems like a pretty good matchup, Yankees-White Sox. Jordan Montgomery, 2-1 in the season. The Yankees' bats are clicking. I am tempted to take the Yankees, but I will go with the White Sox here.
We've also got the Avs and Blues. I'm taking the Avs money line. And I feel like out of all of these first series playoff games, all these series, I think that Colorado-St. Louis is most likely to be a sweep. And I would not be surprised to see St. Louis go down 3-0 in this series. The Avs have 10 total goals so far in this series in 2 games. They scored 6 goals in the first and 4 in the second. And St. Louis has 4 goals in these 2 series. And I mean, St. Louis is just outmatched. And Colorado just looks really good.
What is the puck line on this game?
1.5, I believe.
I would, if it was 2.5, I'd be tempted to tank St. Louis, simply because
Plus 2.5.
Yeah, I would take them plus 2.5. Is that what it is?
No, I believe it's 1.5.
That's what I would do. I'm not going to take 1.5. I guess if that's the case, I will take the Preds aren't in the same zip code as the Canes. We'll know more about that in about 3 hours. But I don't think that the Blues are in the same zip code as the Avs.
No. We've also got Grizzlies Golden State tonight, and
That is a good game.
That is a very good game. I know we got a lot of Grizz fans here in Nashville, but I have to take
Do we have a lot
Golden
of
State.
Grizz fans in Nashville?
I don't know. I mean, if anyone's going to have a basketball team in Nashville, I feel like it would be the Grizzlies. The line is 4.5.
Okay.
The spread is 4.5. I don't know if I would like to take the Grizzlies plus 4.5 or the Warriors money line. I feel better about the Warriors money line, but the odds just aren't great. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the Grizzlies plus 4.5 minus 105. The Warriors are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than people think.
I'm going to go with the Warriors minus 4.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to go 4.5 instead of the money line just because it feels like it's more of you're putting yourself more out on a limb to go do that.
And the odds, I mean, minus 210 for the Warriors money line. Like, not terrible, not great.
Odds.
Don't love it. I'd rather just take the spread. The Grizzlies and Warriors played each other in the final game of the season, and the Warriors won by 12. But I feel like playoff John Morant. I feel like it's going to be a closer game than people think. But the Warriors at the end. If you feel good about taking minus 210 odds, then go ahead and take the Warriors money line.
Yeah, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to roll with the Warriors minus 4.5. I just think the Warriors are too good. You know, the Grizzlies, like the Grizzlies are a good team at the bottom of like the playoffs.
Right.
The Warriors have one of the
Warriors
best
are an
players in
elite
the
team.
game, and that's hard for me to get over. It's one thing when they play LeBron. It's another thing when they play the Grizzlies.
Exactly.
So I will take the Warriors there.
What you got for me?
The Houston Astros on the road at the Texas Rangers. The Rangers not playing very well right now. 19-27 on the year, but Kyle Gibson goes 3-0 with a 2.32 ERA. Give me the Texas Rangers tonight on the money line. I know that, again, the Astros 26-18, a lot better than 19-27. Kyle Gibson going. The Houston starter hasn't even made an appearance this season. I am going with the Rangers on the money line.
You know what? Go ahead and give me the Astros money line.
It's the only way for you to have a chance
Taking
to win.
the Astros. All right, chill out over there.
Well, it is, because if you take the same thing as me, then there's no way for you to win the competition.
Well, I'm giving myself the best odds to win.
Well,
and I think that the Astros will win.
Well, not only that, but it'd be easy for me to take the Astros, who are a much more dominant team.
Yes.
But I'm not, because I feel pretty good about the Rangers.
All right.
So, last chance to dance. You need the Grizzlies, and you need the Astros in order to tie this week. We shall see if she can salvage herself. Speaking of we shall see, we will make our final predictions for the Preds game. Again, I think they're going to win, but how they're going to win, we'll do that during Predators game day. Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, will join us next with his thoughts on game number 3 as we are live at Pete and Terry's Tavern here on Stillman and Company. FanDuel Sportsbook app, that's my official sportsbook app. That's where I get all my Carolines in real life. The NBA play-in tournament gives some teams one last shot to make the playoffs, but everyone can bet this round risk-free on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account, because FanDuel is teamed up with basketball legends Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith to make sure you get your money back even if you don't win. That's any user, any bet type, any game. So again, Memphis, Golden State, you just heard. I'm rolling with Golden State minus 4.5. The NBA play-in tournament is going down May 18th through the 21st, and FanDuel just made it even more exciting. This is all part of FanDuel's Play-In Palooza. If you've already got a sportsbook account, open the app, opt in to claim your risk-free bet. And if you're new to FanDuel, sign up using the promo code JGM to get your first bet risk-free of up to $1,000. Exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. New user risk-free bet for first real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Stillman Company, we are live at Bridgestone Arena. Pete and Terry's Tavern ahead of game number 5 tonight. Game number 3, wishful thinking. Win
It
tonight.
would be great if there was 5
There will
games.
be a game number 5. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I was like, I can just feel the energy of Bridgestone Arena. You can tell that the Preds are definitely going to want to have a chance to at least defend one more time in a game 6. And I said to someone, guess what? Us at the radio station would really love a game 6.
I would
too.
love a game 7.
I'll take game 6. 7? How about you can win in 6?
Okay, if we can win in 6, I'll take it.
Well, I don't know, we'll win
If
it, but
Smashville can win in 6.
you would take it. I would take it too. We will shortly be joined by Hal Gill. Caroline Fenton tonight. We heard that there will be some lineup changes. According to John Hines, what lineup changes do you want to see and are expecting that he would make?
I wrote down 3 things that I did want to see, 3 things that I didn't want to see, and you put, who did you put, Branson in your list?
Don't want to see him.
I put Victor Arvidsson in my list, and I know that would be a rough thing for fans to see. I know that would be a hard decision, but his production the past 2 games isn't where it needs to be, and I want to see some of these younger guys get in and start producing, and maybe it's time for Arvidsson to get taken out, and maybe that's what he needs.
Hal Gill joins us now on the program, presented by Duncan with their new location out in Belmead and TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. Hal, how do we feel? I'm not going to ask you how you feel about the game tonight. I'm going to ask you, I think the Predators get it done tonight. I think they're going to win, and I think it's because I feel like in a series like this, you get punched in Carolina, and teams that have mental fortitude punch back. This team has shown it all season long. I don't think they're good enough to constantly compete with Carolina, but I think that there's something about this team. I think they get it done tonight. You've been in this situation as a player. How do you feel about the Predators and the situation they're in?
Yeah, I like it. I like this situation. It's hard because you look back in games 1 and 2 and you say, "Oh, we missed an opportunity there." You can say, "Oh, you got to." Everyone says, "Oh, you got to take one of those games." Well, it doesn't always work out that way. In the end, you got to look at the way the team played. And I thought the team, you're looking at going into both third periods. You're down 1 goal and you're tied 2-2. I mean, that's doing your job. And if you look at the power play, it's 0 for 7. If you get a power play goal there, you're tied up in the second game. And then you look at it, if you get a couple goals, you win a game, and then everything is looking pretty good, and you're feeling a lot different. So it's a fine line between winning and losing. I do like the way the team has battled. They've mucked it up and made Carolina play a hard physical game. They just have to finish it and get a couple goals here or there, and then things turn around. And maybe the crowd here at Bridgestone is going to be just the trick to get them over the top and get some fire and play with a little bit extra, because they're going to need it. And it's going to be a big game. Carolina's going to come in and try to slow it down and drag it out just the way you do on the road. So this is going to be a good one, but I think Bridgestone crowd will probably put them over the top.
Hal, it's funny you bring up the crowd. Barry Melrose has come on our show many times and just says home ice doesn't mean much. You've played in these type of environments, and not only have you played in them, but these players are playing in an environment they haven't played in over a year. And we saw that the crowd was raucous in Carolina. How much of a difference do you think it made then, and how much of a difference do you think as a player it will make tonight?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that go into a home ice advantage. Probably the biggest thing is the last change. You get your matchups, especially in the playoffs, when you're looking for matchups that you want to get, you get the last change. And so that changes a lot. That's a huge part of it. That's why home ice is so important. You throw in the fact that you can be at your own home and sleep in your own bed. That's another little wrinkle that feels pretty good to play at home. And then, the crowd is a huge part of it. When you get rolling, and the playoffs are all about emotion and all about sustaining momentum, then you get the crowd behind you and things start to roll, and that's what's tough to play against, is a team that gets that momentum and keeps it going. So the crowd is a huge part of that. So I would disagree with Barry and say it is a huge deal, especially, like you said, they haven't seen a crowd this big in Bridgestone in a year. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge factor.
John Hines today said that he's changing the power play, that they're going to change their breakouts, they're going to change zone entry, they're going to change personnel. Hard with only a morning skate to get everything figured out, though. I'm sure they had plenty of meetings to discuss that. What do you think of the changes to the power play? Obviously, they're going to be necessary, but how practical do you think it will be that these new changes will lead to success? Because I worry that if Carolina kills off some penalties early tonight, they're going to have even more confidence to take more penalties because they will feel confident in their ability to kill them off. What do you think of the changes on the power play tonight?
Yeah, it's always tough to switch up a power play and move it around because chemistry isn't quite there. But especially in the playoffs where there's a lot of studying going on, and you don't think for once that they didn't break down every avenue that the Preds have as far as personnel and position and how they're going to defend against the power play for Nashville. So they were prepared. Now you're throwing something completely different at them, and you're changing things up, and they don't know what's coming at them. So it leaves a little bit of an X factor where both teams are trying something new. And let's not forget, these guys, they're not. It's not like you throw a guy in a different spot and he's never been there before. They've been doing it their whole life. They know how to work a half wall. They know how to work the front of a net. They know how to work the bumper position. All these positions that they're being thrown into, they know how it works. They just have to go out and perform. And hopefully the chemistry's quick and they pick it up and run with it. But they need to make adjustments. It didn't work, so you change things up. And more importantly, there's a fresh look, and there's some guys excited to have a fresh look at the power play.
How would you roll that top unit? We were kicking around ideas. I wouldn't be surprised if Yarncroke ends up on the top unit. I feel like John Hines has a lot of trust in him. I think Tolvanen stays on that top unit, though he has not produced much since his injury. How would you roll that top power play unit for, as John Hines says, he's going to change up the personnel?
Yeah, you know what? The hard part is you can go, all right, let's get all our best players on the ice and go have at it. And, you're going to have your best players in different positions that maybe they're not the best at that spot. It becomes a role situation. And so, you have a guy like Cunnin who's been sitting down on the bench watching the power play. He hasn't played penalty kill, so he's not getting into the game. I think the first two games he's just had under 20 minutes. So, you want to get him out on the ice, and he was so good at the end of the season. You want to get him out there more. And so you go, all right, let's put him out. You're not going to put him on the half wall. You want him in front of the net where he's good. And so you go through every player on your team and say, where does he fit best, and put him in. And so it becomes like a plug and play. This is our best bet for net front. This is our best bet for the half wall. And, you talked about Calle Yarncroke. Well, Calle is like, don't forget how valuable he is. He plays every position, and he can do it so well. So he's kind of the Swiss Army knife of the team that you can put anywhere. But, he does have it. He can snipe. He can pass. He can make those plays. And so, guys like him, you can kind of shift around. But certain players, they don't belong anywhere else except for what they do best. And that's what you have to look for in a power play.
Hal Gill, presented by Duncan and TriStar Moving. You brought up something on the post-game show on TV the other night that I thought was pretty much the biggest issue the Predators have right now in the series, and that is when Carolina enters the offensive zone, every pass it feels like they make is to set up another pass where they know where that guy's going to be. They did it perfectly on the power play goal from Aho the other night, where I think it was Tara Vinen on the left half wall, sends it up to Dougie Hamilton, who immediately sends that puck over to Aho on the back door. When the Predators pass the puck, it's like they've got the puck on their tape, and then they're looking to pass. It doesn't feel like it's a lot of crisp 1-2 on their passes, and I do wonder how they change that, because I don't think they can just pass around the perimeter and then stare at the goalie and shoot it, and that end up being successful.
Yeah, the penalty kills, and it goes back to watching film and watching how penalty killers work. Being a penalty killer myself, I want to know their tendencies and how they make plays. And if you are in place and you're not moving, I know exactly what you're going to do. I know where you're looking. Now, the second you start to move, and the second you start, one pass, two pass, you start to string them together. Now, it might only be a foot out of position, but that's a foot that a shot can get by. If your shin pads are a foot to the left where they should be square up, then that leaves an opening, and players are good enough to shoot past those blocks and get past those sticks that are just a little bit off. So you have to create that movement, and that's something I think the Preds need to really focus on. And, a lot of people say, you just simplify it, get it to the net. Well, it's hard to get it to the net if you don't make those movements, if you don't make those passes. So I do look for them to move the puck much quicker. He did talk about the breakouts and how they're going to be coming at the blue line and trying to gain access to the zone with possession so that they can make those plays. Because, you brought it up, the Dougie Hamilton moving across, waiting for the switch up top from the penalty kill, and then the quick movement after that, that's designed play. And, it's a designed play because players are smart enough to move and make the plays while they're moving. And so that's something that, like I said, the chemistry is there with those guys. The Preds are going to have to find that chemistry quick with a new power play, but I don't see it being an overly worrisome issue. I think they can find it, and if they do, they're going to get success because they do have guys in the right spots.
Last thing for you, Hal Gill is our guest. Everybody is talking about how great Alex Nedeljkovic is playing. I don't think the Predators have made his life miserable enough. I think Saros has been out of this world given some of the saves he's made. I would like to see more pressure on Nedeljkovic tonight. How much do you think Nedeljkovic needs to do for the Predators to be successful and really put him at a disadvantage?
Yeah, Nedeljkovic, early on in game one, he looked a little shaky. He left some rebounds, and you give the Canes credit. They kept everything to the outside and kind of let him settle into his game. But he's a young goalie. I think they have to make him as uncomfortable as possible. And, when a goalie has a shutout, you got to go back to him and make him a little bit more uncomfortable. And sometimes you got to toe the line between, running them over and standing on the perimeter. There's a little bit of a gray area there that they may need to make him second guess where he's going and what he's doing, and then ultimately, they got to barge into the slot and get into that area. It's tough with the big defense that Carolina has, but they have to find a way, whether it's with the puck or without the puck, to attack the interior and make him move a little bit, make him look around some bodies, make him uncomfortable, and rough him up a little bit, whatever it takes to get him so he's not as confident as he looked. He did look really confident at the end of game two. I thought he played well, but yeah, you got to put some pressure on him and change the narrative around him for sure.
Hal Gill, he'll be on the broadcast tonight and, of course, the post-game show on TV. Hal Gill, appreciate it. Have a great call tonight, Hal.
All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy the game.
Yep, Hal Gill joining us on the program, presented by TriStar Movers, TriStar Moving, 5-star service, and Dunkin' Donuts. Predators game day is next. That's right, TriStar Moving. They are my official movers. They are proud presenting sponsors of Stillman Company. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything is taken care of with TriStar Moving. I know because I moved, and I moved with TriStar, and they did a fantastic job. They took great care of everything and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio. They'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. TriStar Moving, my official movers and proud sponsors of Stillman Company. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Tonight, 6 o'clock, the Predators and the Carolina Hurricanes. And again, the Hurricanes lead the series 2-0. Game number 3 tonight though the last 2 times they played at Bridgestone Arena, the Predators took both games. It should be noted UC Saros so far has stopped 61 of 67 shots he's faced through the series' first 2 games. That's good for a .910 save percentage. We said coming in it'd have to be somewhere around .96. He's .910. Got to be somewhere around .96. They get ready to go in game number 3. We start with the coach's take. John Hines, 0 of 7 on the power play in game number 2, 0 of 10 so far. Very reminiscent of the 0 of 15 the Predators had in 2019 against the Dallas Stars. What power play adjustments have the Predators made over the last 2 days?
One, we're going to have some adjustments to the power play personnel-wise. So we've made a few changes in that way and different positions of where guys will be, and then some different guys on the power play. So that's where we started. And then we really looked at our break-ins. Have to have a couple adjustments on our power play break-in where we can possibly get in with more possession or more speed, so we can establish the offensive zone in that area. And then we've got to do a better job, of just understanding, where their pressure is coming from, how it comes, and then what are the release points that we need to be able to have to break the pressure. So I think that combination, we did spend a lot of time on it. I think that should give us a better opportunity here tonight to rectify what happened the other night.
So right now, the Predators are going to make some personnel changes. We asked Hal Gill what he thought of those personnel changes. Didn't really give us much of anybody who he thinks should be anywhere. That was very strategic on the part of Hal Gill. But
Don't blame him.
But the one thing that we do know is Ellie Tolvanen will be back in the lineup tonight. John Hines confirming that before puck drop as well. Callie Yarncroke, who missed game number 2 with an illness. Callie Yarncroke is healthy and will return to the lineup. The question then is who is out. A lot of speculation surrounding Victor Arvidsson as a possible scratch, or Brad Richardson, who was available in game number 2. By the way, UC Saros has started both of Nashville's games against Carolina to extend his consecutive start streak to 6 games, dating back to the bubble series last year against Arizona. And in that span, he's 2.60 and a .908 save percentage in 13 career postseasons. The Predators will welcome back their biggest crowd of the season. That's right, their biggest crowd since March 5th of last year. The Predators will have 12,135 fans, which will be approximately 70% of the arena's normal 17,159 capacity for hockey games. Caroline Fenton, what are you looking for tonight? Preds and Canes, 6 o'clock.
I need to see power play goals and at least getting close to the net. Get out of your own zone in power plays.
Sure.
If there's a goal or not, I just need to see a better power play. Preferably, would really appreciate a power play goal, especially if they are gifted 7 more tonight.
Give me your final score. Who wins tonight and why?
I'm taking 2-1 Predators. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game with 2 incredibly talented goaltenders, and I think the Predators know what they have to do to shut down the Canes offense as best as they possibly can, and if there's going to be any night that they can do it, it's going to be tonight. Give me the Preds 2-1.
Ian, give me your final score and why tonight.
This is tricky. Honestly, oh man, I think I'm going to go 4-2 Canes.
Woo!
Wowza.
Ian is not on board with the idea that the Preds are going to win tonight.
Stirring the pot.
Which is okay. To me, I think the Preds get it done tonight, and I think they get it done rather convincingly. Preds 4-1 final. I think that the Predators put together their best performance of the postseason. I think this is the punch back. Now, that would make Game 4 a money game on Sunday, which I am not as confident in, but give me the Predators. I think they take it tonight 4-1. So we got 2-1 Preds, 4-2 Canes, and I'm going 4-1 Preds tonight. Coming up next, you will have the pregame show, Darren McFarland, and then, of course, 6 o'clock special time puck drop with the voice of the National Predators, Pete Weber. Fireball Hot Take Friday. We are out of here. Everybody have a good weekend.